Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we have spent some time talking about bar graphs and how we can represent and interpret data on the bar graph. So that is what our EQ is. How do I represent and interpret data using bar graphs? Now in class we talked about how we can see bar graphs shown in two different ways. We can see them shown horizontally and vertically. It is important that we pay attention to the title so we know what we're talking about in the title. It is important we pay attention to our categories and to our scale. Okay, so the very first thing Miss Long likes to do is look at this title. So the title of this is Baby Animals on the Steep. Okay, so I know I'm talking about baby animals and I'm probably talking about how many of each type. Next, I look at my categories. So I have lambs, kids, which are baby goats, not children, foals, calves, and baby camels. And last but not least, I'm going to look at my scale. So I notice that I'm going up by 5. So I'm skip counting by 5. So that means if the bar were to fall in between one of my lines on the graph, then I would have to have a number that comes between the two numbers before. Okay, so let's look at lambs. How many baby lambs are on the steep? I see that it's a little bit past 35, but it's not quite 40. So I'm going to have to pick a number that's just a little bit past 35. So I'm going to say maybe 37. And notice I wrote 37 above the bar. That is the strategy that I have been teaching you in class, is to write that number above the bar because it'll help you when you go to solve word problems. All right, let's do the same thing for kids or baby goats. The bar touches 40 and it goes a little bit past 40, so I'm going to say that would be 42. How many foals do I have? Well, it touches 10 and it is just a tiny, tiny bit past 10, so I will say 11. Next, I have calves. So if I look, calves is right on that 15 line, so I'm going to write 15 above it. And then I have baby camels, and baby camels is a little tiny bit past 5, so I would say 6. And that's it. Then if you had questions that you would have to answer, all your data is ready to go and you could answer those word problems. Now let's look at a graph that is set up horizontally. As you can see, let me erase all this data. This one looks a little bit different, but it's still the same type of graph. We're still using bars to represent our data. So again, the first thing I like to do is look at that title so I really know what we're talking about in this graph. So we're talking about a bug eating contest. And then for my categories, I think we're talking about salamanders. Yes, so I have the names of the salamanders. Those are my categories. And then my scale, we're talking about the number of bugs eaten. And we know that we're counting by 2s. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So on this scale, we know that in between we must be counting by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and so on. We're going to go ahead and write our numbers of bugs eaten beside each bar to make our data a little easier to read when we're answering those questions. So let's start at quadra. How many bugs did quadra eat? Well, if I follow that bar all the way out, try not to touch it, all the way out, and I go down, I can see that quadra has eaten 12 bugs, so I'm going to write 12 beside it. Next is Sally. Sally has eaten, I followed that bar all the way out and follow that line down to see where she's at. She has eaten 6. Same thing for Fraser, followed all the way out, follow that bar down. Fraser has eaten 14. Now with Newton, I can see that Newton's bar is in between 6 and 8. And the number that comes between 6 and 8 is 7. So I would write a 7 there. Let me erase that line. Now we have Tiger. Tiger has eaten 16. And Captain is again between 14 and 16. So what number comes next after 14 when we're counting by 1s? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that's it. You have labeled your data. It is easier to interpret when you go to answer a bar graph question. If you still have questions, please let Miss Long know. Bye, friends.